Welcome to the Marketing with Cultura podcast, designed for Latinas, Latinx professionals breaking into marketing. This podcast helps you find mentors, build community, and create a roadmap to launch your marketing career or business. Hear inspiring stories from successful Latinx marketers and gain insider tips to land your dream job or grow your brand. Hola, I am your host, Vanessa Parra, a Latina marketer with over a decade of experience in sales, marketing, job development, and working with influencers. As a former recruiter and hiring marketing manager, I'll share exactly what businesses look for in their next marketing hire. Well, hello there. Welcome back to my first episode for the year 2025. I'm super excited to be on here and for us to get back into our usual routine and to provide you even more value, more tips to help you land that marketing job or marketing internship. I know right now it's January. A lot of businesses aren't really hiring or they've even laid off a lot of people. And if you're listening in, maybe you're one of those people that is struggling to find that marketing job or break into marketing. So you're listening in because you need all the advice you can get to land that job. Or maybe you currently are a marketer, but want to gain some valuable skills so you can land that next role as a manager or just find a better job. So for this episode, if you're seeking to break into marketing, you should develop a combination of hard and soft skills to stand out in a competitive field. And originally, I was going to go over 10 skills to focus on, but then once I started doing research and jotting down ideas of what I was going to go over, I realized if I go over all 10 today, it's just going to be a very long podcast episode. And honestly, if you're like me, we're super busy and we don't have time for that. And you might not even listen to the whole podcast. So I decided to break it up into two parts. So today I'll go over the first five. None of these are in any specific order. So don't think that number 10 is less important than number one. It's just the way I set it up. But today I'll be going over five, and next week I'll go over the next five. So make sure to save these podcast episodes. So anytime you feel like you need that additional help or support, make sure to listen to these podcast episodes. So let's start off with a tip number one, and that is communication skills. So in order to land a marketing role, you need to be able to show in your resume, cover letters, during your interview, in your portfolio, pretty much any way that you're communicating with the possible recruiter or hiring manager, be able to show that you have great communication skills. And to be a marketer in any role within marketing, it's very important to have this skill. And some ways to be able to show your communication skills is through writing. And I don't know about you, but I know when I started my career in general and in college, writing was fun, but at the same time kind of difficult because being first gen Mexican American, you're probably like me, Spanglish was spoken a lot. And I know I've seen a couple of memes where it says being a first gen a Latino that sometimes we don't know how to speak English or Spanish correctly. And it's funny, but sometimes it's true, you know? And even if you don't have no formal education, being a great communicator, specifically writer, knowing how to communicate through writing is very important and crucial if you want to be in marketing. It's not just you showing how much you know, but you're speaking on behalf of a company. That copy, those ads, blogs, social media is to represent the voice of a company. And if you're unable to write correctly, if you have issues with your grammar or your spelling, then it's going to be very difficult to succeed in marketing. And I don't want to discourage you from pursuing a role in marketing, but for us being Latinos, it might just be a little bit harder, right? So, some tips that I can provide to help you, because I'm no expert either, but has helped me improve my writing, is using some software like Grammarly, ChatGPT, obviously, to help you rewrite certain things. But those two have really helped me. It has also shown me where my areas of improvement, and eventually you'll see there's certain areas that you are constantly messing up on or need to improve on, and it'll just help you, become a better writer. So that's something to consider if you haven't. And if you feel like writing isn't your strong suit, consider checking out Grammarly and ChatGPT. I think that would help with your writing. But going back to how you'll be presenting your written communications, blogs, social media, and emails. And one way to already start practicing all that is through LinkedIn. If you haven't heard my past episodes, I always talk about LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is such a great platform. I know if you're listening, maybe you don't have a LinkedIn account, or if you do, you're not really active on it. You probably enjoy more TikTok or Instagram, which, don't get me wrong, I love those platforms too. And obviously, they're a lot more fun. But if you are serious about landing a marketing job, you need to get in front of recruiters, hiring managers, business owners, and the best way to do that is through LinkedIn. And what I love about LinkedIn is that it has so many capabilities and features that you're able to use it to help grow your portfolio. Include these pieces where you're showcasing your communication skills, specifically in written communication, by writing an article, which is like a blog feature in LinkedIn, by creating your own content strategy and posting on LinkedIn. There's like a a newsletter component. I haven't done it myself, but I actually do want to start creating more newsletters through the LinkedIn profile, so I might test it out. But I would highly suggest that you take advantage of these features to get practice and figure out your writing style and be able to include those pieces in your portfolio. So I know a lot of you might say, Vanessa, no one's hiring me because they say I don't have experience. And again, when you're applying for entry level positions, the hiring manager understands that you may not have a lot of experience, but they want to be able to see your drive, your passion, what you're doing to try to gain that experience. And LinkedIn is probably the easiest and free way to gain experience and showcase it. Plus, by doing all that, you'll be growing your personal brand through LinkedIn and attracting hiring managers, recruiters, business owners. You'll see right away that people are going to start looking at your profile. You're going to get that notification that someone viewed your profile. People are going to start following you, and you're going to become a thought leader, even though you may feel like, hey, I'm not qualified to be a thought leader. It's okay. But that's a perfect way to gain that experience and help grow your communication skills. Another way to grow your communication skills is obviously through verbal communication. And as a marketer, you have to be ready to present ideas, give presentations, communicate a plan with either stakeholders, clients, or with your team. You have to deliver pitches in order to gain that client for yourself or for your employer. And by improving your verbal communication, it'll help you in networking effectively. So it's very important to improve your verbal communication. Some of you might be introverts or very shy. Hard to believe. Growing up, I was actually an introvert. I'm still kind of an introvert with extrovert tendencies. And ironically, marketing is the most extroverted role you'll ever come across. So if you're like me, where you're an introvert, where I'm not shy, okay? Introvert and being shy are two completely different things. Introvert, it means more that you like being alone, like doing your own thing. If you're around a lot of people, you enjoy it, but then you need to be alone to get re-energized, right? To be able to function. And that's how I am. And being a marketer is very extroverted. You're constantly talking to different types of people, presenting ideas, dealing with customer issues. And so it's a very extroverted type of role. I've always been introverted, but when I was younger, especially when you're new to your career or just to a professional setting and you don't have any mentors or no one to really like guide you, it could be even more intimidating. And I know like networking itself, it doesn't matter if you're extrovert or introvert, if you haven't really done it, very intimidating. And so that's why it's very important that you practice your verbal communication. So when you are in networking situations, you feel comfortable. And the best way to do that is obviously if you're in school, take advantage of class presentations. If you hear of a job fair, going to the job fair, or maybe going to like a meetup with other marketers, or if you're able to afford some type of marketing conference or workshop, attend it to meet other marketers so you can grow your network, practice your communication skills, and hopefully form true connections where later, maybe not right away, but later when you form those genuine connections, someone will want to help you out and refer you to an opening or a role or to a company. So it's very important that you practice your verbal communication skills. And those are probably the best ways to do it. Now, another important part of communications is storytelling. So, building the narratives that resonate with target audiences. And that's something that you'll learn throughout your career, but maybe pick your top 3 brands or companies that you follow that you really like, observe and do research and find out like who is their ideal client. Check out all their marketing collateral, different copywriting pieces like blogs, social media, paid ads, emails, and who are they targeting? Maybe they're targeting females, right? And that are millennials or maybe Gen Zs or men that play golf, stuff like that. And see what type of language, type of writing styles that they're using to connect with that ideal client. And you try it out. Maybe start your own social media page where you can start off talking about your experience as a marketer, or if you're into fashion, maybe start showing video clips or tutorials on how to assemble like an outfit for the winter. Sorry, I'm not a fashion influencer, so you get it. Just start practicing ways to communicate and really understanding that ideal client or target audience and start creating pieces, right? Marketing pieces for them so you can practice storytelling. And if I were you, I'd pick maybe your top 3 so you can get excited and not be bored and see how differently you would communicate for each brand. So those are the 3: written communication, verbal communication, and storytelling focuses that you need to improve on to improve your communication skills. Now, the second skill to improve on or to gain is digital marketing proficiency. This will take time. You're not going to be an expert. And honestly, there isn't a such thing as being an expert. I don't even consider myself an expert, and I have a lot more experience than you most likely. But it's just going to take time. And then every industry is different. Every business model is different. But these are a few key skills for you to try to develop and just get more experience in. The first one is SEO and SEM, understanding search engine optimization and paid search strategies. And that's going to take time to really know. And even within marketing, it's good to have like a basic understanding, but you don't need to be an expert, especially because once you're experienced and you start growing in your career, you're going to see specific areas where you can really become an expert in. And so paid ads or paid strategist, if that's something you really want to grow in, then go for it, right? Invest in learning more and getting hands-on experience so you can focus on roles like those. But if it's not something that really interests you, just have a basic understanding by joining a cohort or hiring a mentor or just doing your own research, right? On YouTube, listening to podcast episodes, joining workshops, conferences, stuff like that. And then you can even apply the whole optimization on social media channels. So, like on Instagram, on LinkedIn, using keywords to be found by your ideal client or ideal follower, stuff like that. And then with social media marketing, if you are applying for a marketing role, most likely you will be helping with social media at some point, especially at an entry level role. Eventually, again, you'll be more specialized in certain areas and you can become like a social media manager, director, and so on. But when you're entry level, they have you do a little bit of everything because the manager or director really needs the help. And so it's very important that besides having your own social media accounts, that you get some experience managing business accounts or even like content creation accounts that focuses on specific audiences, where you're reviewing analytics, really helping create a social media strategy. So if you're able to get that experience, even if it's by offering to help like a friend or a family member's small business or like club or sport, something that comes to mind, like my daughter, she plays softball. So if I wanted to gain more experience in social media, maybe I'd offer my services for free for her team to help promote them, stuff like that. Like just find creative ways to gain that experience and really understand the different social media platforms. Again, you don't have to be an expert and understand everything about every single platform, but if you can understand like the basic foundations and how they work and who they target and what it's best for, I think that's really going to position you really well in your next marketing role. And then eventually you'll figure out which platform you really enjoy creating content for. I love Instagram, I love TikTok, but I am really enjoying LinkedIn. I just feel like it's easier for reach, getting in front of people that will help you land that next marketing job. This is all off topic, but LinkedIn is also really great for business to business marketing and again, attracting your ideal client, stuff like that. So, get some experience in social media marketing if you haven't. Another area to focus on to gain your skills is email marketing. So, building and executing campaigns using tools like MailChimp or ConvertKit. I think some of these platforms you can start off for free. I may be wrong because I know years ago you could. Maybe it's not the case anymore, but I think if you have a very small email list, you can start off with a free account. If you can, I would definitely create an account and just start, figuring out how to create a newsletter or how to build out a sales page through these different platforms, or really understanding how to navigate these platforms, even if you're not creating any email marketing campaigns at this time, but just knowing how to use the software. And you can always go on YouTube to get tutorials on how to create stuff. And a lot of these different platforms have their own like tutorials page, so it shouldn't be hard. But then that way, when you're ready to tackle email marketing, at least you have the basic idea of how to create a newsletter, of like the different components of a newsletter, how to read analytics. And so when you get that first marketing job, you will definitely stand out from your competition because you are able to at least figure it out, right? Because you have some experience. So I would definitely troubleshoot that, play around with that to get some experience. And then finally, something that I think a lot of new marketers struggle with, or not struggle with, lack, is that they don't understand analytics and the importance of analytics. So even though we went over so far different ways to improve on your marketing skills and things to know, at the end of the day, you're working for a business. Doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit, if it's a large corporation, a small business startup, whatever. You're working for a business and they have KPIs, key performance indicators, or they have certain goals that they need to meet. And typically it's sales related. And the only way to achieve those goals is by measuring and tracking your campaigns in social media, website, email marketing, and so on. So, really getting familiar with reading analytics, creating reports for both social media and Google Analytics to see like website traffic, what pages are performing best, stuff like that, to measure the performance of all these different campaigns and avenues. I would highly suggest that you try to get experience in those areas. And again, some ways to do that is by looking over some YouTube tutorials, joining a cohort, a mentorship program, just trying to start implementing that. You could even do it on your own social media channels. So, for example, I know with Instagram and even maybe LinkedIn, if you switch your personal account to a creator account, not a business account, but creator account, now once you start publishing content, you'll see analytics. You'll see what's performing, your engagement rate, your reach, stuff like that. That alone can help you understand how to read these different reports, see what's performing, and will give you a better idea of how to apply that once you get that marketing job. So, again, make sure to get familiar with analytics and the way it works. Now, tip number 3 is content creation. So, if you want to get into marketing, or even if you want to be just say a social media manager, it's not just good enough to know how social media channels work or knowing how to manage social media content, but a lot of businesses want these social media managers, marketers to also create content. It's not like before where sometimes, you had a copywriter or your marketing team would provide you with photos, because back then, obviously, photos was the number one type of content that performed well or that companies used. Now it's all more about video. So having basic video production, knowledge of video editing short form videos, YouTube videos, TikTok videos will really help you stand out. Basic copywriting skills to help write engaging and persuasive marketing materials, especially social media captions with hooks and call to actions to help encourage that follower to eventually convert into a customer is very important. And having basic design familiarity with tools like Canva or Adobe Creative Suite will definitely help the content creation process be more effective. So I know when I started my marketing career, back then Canva didn't exist, only Adobe. Even though I took some Adobe classes in college, I don't know, I just really never really figured it out completely. And I struggled a lot. And I never saw myself as a graphic designer, even though I've worked with graphic designers and I can write campaign briefs with them. I can go over projects and we typically communicate and work really well on like the overall goal. But if you were to tell me like, Vanessa, design this from scratch, like I would fail miserably. Not so much now because we have Canva and there's already templates and then you can just customize it or change things here and there. So that's cool. But back then we didn't have that and it was hard. I'm not going to lie. So now that we have these different softwares that make designing so much easier, take advantage of that. I mean, if you want to be an expert in Adobe Creative Suite, good for you. You do that. I'm sure your future employer will highly appreciate that and benefit from that. But if that's not really your thing, just using like Canva will definitely help you create stuff. So just get familiar and knowledgeable with copywriting, design basics, and video production, and that'll definitely make you stand out in the interview process and in your resume. Tip number 4 is having analytical thinking. So as marketers, I know a lot of people make fun of marketers where they say marketers just like making things pretty. We're on TikTok or social media all day. And I think that's funny because I've had roles where I've been a salesperson and I've been obviously a marketer. And I'm so happy that I have experience in sales because I feel like that alone has opened up so many doors for me because I see how sales and marketing work together hand by hand. It's very important that you understand sales, that you understand marketing, because if you're just creating things just because things are pretty or beautiful, that's not going to help the business that you're working for, or if it's your own business, ultimately get sales, gain customers. So it's very important that you understand, the overall goal of your different marketing campaigns and really understanding data and being able to derive actionable insights so you know what you need to do next to achieve certain business/sales goals that your employer is looking for, being able to speak on your findings and understand, like, if you create a marketing campaign, the return on investment, and understand conversion rates, and using data visualizations tools to be able to showcase that to your team or upper management. Because I want to be honest with you, besides your marketing team and possibly your sales team, if you have a sales team, the rest of management and other teams don't really understand what you do. And I hate to say this, but it's so true. And if you're able to speak to them in a way where you're telling them, like, hey, by me creating this silly TikTok video, I was able to sell like $10,000 of merchandise, or I was able to get 100 people to attend our event, then they are going to respect you, and they might still not understand what you do, but at least they'll know that, okay, well, I don't know what she does, but regardless, she knows what she's doing because that video made us those sales, or that video helped us meet our goal, or campaigns, stuff like that. And so that's why it's very important that you have an analytical thinking, that you understand sales, and you're able to present that and communicate that to your team, to your company, to upper management. Because again, at the end of the day, they don't really understand what you do, and they don't really need to understand what you do, as long as you can speak about the bottom line and how your work is contributing to the overall goal of the company. The last tip is project management. So marketing, honestly, besides all the fun stuff of social media, of designing, taking photos, creating videos, stuff like that, it's basically project managing, where you're managing timelines, budgets, resources, you're collaborating with different departments. So getting familiar with project management tools like Trello, Asana, or Monday.com can help you stay organized, help your team stay organized, and help you meet specific deadlines with customers, with internal team members, with your boss, stuff like that. So being organized in marketing and being detail oriented is very important and crucial in your success as a marketer. If I were you, if you're brand new to marketing or to just, having a professional career, I would, again, if you're able to create a free account and just start playing around with these different softwares so you can at least have a basic understanding of how they work. Use YouTube to follow along with tutorials. And then that way, when the time comes and you're able to work on actual projects, use them. Or again, if you're a creator or starting off maybe your own like influencer account, manage your own projects through these different platforms. And See yourself as your own client. So those are my 5 tips on skills that you should focus on to help you land a marketing role. And mastering these skills will prepare you to thrive in marketing roles. There's so many different marketing roles that I can't really say like one role is going to be the one that you're going to do all this. No, there's like so many different marketing roles out there. But if you can get at least a basic understanding, basic foundations in these areas, you'll be set up for success. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I broke it up into 2 parts because if not, it'd be super long. And so make sure to listen in to next week's podcast episode. But those are the 5. Again, tip number 1, improve your communication skills. Number 2, digital marketing proficiency. Number 3, learning about content creation. Number 4, analytical thinking. And number 5, project management. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and subscribe. Give me a 5-star rating and leave a review so more marketers like you can find the show and get the help that they deserve. Well, thank you, and I will talk to you next week, and we'll go over the rest. Okay? Have a great week. Bye.